Good evening, everybody. This is your favorite aspiring classicist here, a wandering author, reminding you that we are all the authors of our own lives. As always, my message remains the same: spend less, live more, earn your freedom with frugality. And today, we're going to talk a little bit about wickedness, but also the way that we relate to ourselves. So this is chapter 4 of book 9, Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics. And he opens it up by saying, "The forms which friendly feeling for our neighbors takes, and the marks by which the different forms of friendship are defined, seem to be derived from the feelings of regard which we entertain for ourselves. A friend is defined as one who wishes, and promotes by action, the real or apparent good of another for that other person's sake." So, to put it in a different way, to phrase it slightly different, a friend wishes the best for someone else's sake. And that right there is the defining factor of a friend. One who wishes the existence and preservation of his friend for the friend's sake. This is the feeling of mothers towards their children and of former friends who have quarreled. Others say that a friend is one who frequents another's society, and one who desires the same thing as he does. One who shares his friend's joys and sorrows. This too is very characteristic of mothers. Friendship also is defined by one or the other of these marks. So a friend may enjoy, they may feel what their friends are feeling. You may hang out with your friends a lot, but the defining factor is wishing someone else's good for their own sake. But each of them is also found in a good man's feelings towards himself, and in those of all other men as well, insofar as they believe themselves to be good. But as has been said, virtue and the virtuous man seem to be standard in everything. The standard in everything. For the good man is of one mind with himself, and desires the same things with every part of his nature. Good men are not divided on a topic. They fully commit themselves. Also, he wishes his own good, real as well as apparent, and seeks it by action, for it is a mark of a good man to exert himself actively for the good. And he does so for his own sake, for he does it on account of the intellectual part of himself, and this appears to be a man's real self. Also, he desires his own life and security, and especially that of his rational part. For instance, is good for the virtuous man. For existence is good for the virtuous man, and everyone wishes his own good. No one would choose to possess every good in the world on condition of becoming somebody else. For God possesses the good even as it is, but only while remaining himself, whatever he may be. And it would appear that the thinking part is the real self, or is more so than anything else. Also, the good man desires his own company, for he enjoys being by himself, since he has agreeable memories of the past, and he has hopes for the future, which are pleasant too. And his mind is stored with subjects for contemplation. So a good man isn't at war with himself. He has good memories of the past and good hopes for the future. And he's got stuff to think about. And he is keenly conscious of his own joys and sorrows, for the same things give him pleasure or pain at all times, and not different things at different times. So the same things give him pleasure and pain all the time, and that doesn't change, since he is not apt to change his mind. It is therefore because the good man has these various feelings towards himself, and because he feels towards his friend in the same way as towards himself, that friendship also is thought to consist in one or the other of these feelings, and the possession of them is thought to be the test of a friend. Whether a man can be said actually to feel friendship for himself is a question that may be dismissed for the present, though it may be held that he can do so insofar as he is a dual or composite being, and because very intense friendship resembles self-regard. As a matter of fact, the feelings of self-regard described appear to be found in most people, even though they are of inferior moral worth. Perhaps men share them insofar as they have their own approval and believe in their own virtue, since the utterly worthless and criminal never possess them, or even have the appearance of doing so. Indeed, it may almost be said that no morally inferior person possesses them, for such persons are at variance with themselves. So remember, Earlier in this chapter, we just spoke about how good men are not at variance with themselves. In contrast, people of inferior moral worth, bad people, in other words, they're at variance with themselves, desiring one thing and wishing another. That is the mark of the unrestrained, who choose what is pleasant but harmful instead of what they themselves think to be good. Others, again, out of cowardice and idleness, neglect to do what they think best for their own interests. And men who have committed a number of crimes and are hated for their wickedness actually flee from life and make away with themselves. Also, bad men constantly seek the society of others and shun their own company, because when they are by themselves they recall much that was unpleasant in the past and anticipate the same in the future, whereas with other people they can forget. Moreover, they feel no affection for themselves, because they have no lovable qualities. Hence such men do not enter into their own joys and sorrows, as there is civil war in their souls. One part of their nature, owing to depravity, is pained by abstinence from certain indulgences. Think somebody like an alcoholic. While another part is pleased by it. One part pulls them one way and another the other, as if dragging them asunder. Or if it be impossible to feel pain and pleasure at the same time, at all events, after indulging in pleasure they regret it a little later, and wish they had never acquired a taste for such indulgences, since the bad are always changing their minds. Thus a bad man appears to be devoid even of affection for himself, because he has nothing lovable in his nature. If, then, such a state of mind is utterly miserable, we should do our utmost to shun wickedness and try to be virtuous. That is the way both to be friends with ourselves and to win the friendship of others. So we should do our utmost to shun wickedness and try to be virtuous. That's how we can be friends with other people and friends with ourselves. That's a pretty good takeaway from that chapter, I think. As always, spend less, live more. What are y'all doing in order to inspire, uplift, and empower your local community today? Because this world isn't changing unless we all do our part, and you can count on me to do mine daily. Until next time, I love y'all.